Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Please, come in and have a seat. I have a story I'd like to share with you. I'm Krig, by the way, and this is my book of spooky stories. I'll have you know, though, that a lot of the stories have been, let's say, messed up by translation. It's been through so many different languages, like Zulu and Russian. It's almost unrecognizable sometimes, but that's okay. So let me open my book, and let's find the very first story here. This is a good one. Let's begin, shall we? This is Teratophobia. My 11-year-old boy. 4 months ago, there was a terrible accident. I have to get the details of what happened or not, but it is all in his face and left him with third-degree burns to the head and torso to move away from the face. The first week was the worst of my life in the hospital. They imagine how bad it was for my son that I cannot begin. He will not cry when there are bandages. He will not talk. He not only put out the sound of moaning with pain from time to time. What happened to my doctor? I was asked to hysteria. I have to get out of him that my son was excruciating pain absolutely. Finally, face to face, in movements, something bad could dramatically. Where I just sat silently haunts me still thinking. For example, there are untold pain, only without the distraction of escape or at the moment. It will sit there at the moment. Doctor of medicine, but he explained that, as best you can, not only excessive they were, but you can do. When they first took the bandage on my son, I cried. I did not mean to. I think that it is prepared for the worst. However, I was not. I became angry. I did not see him. It's me. The mood became worse in order to consider his appearance. My son. I heard the story again. "This is very bad, mother?" she asked, her voice trembling. It showed him a mirror. He was silent. He did not speak. He just ignored us. Was sitting in a quiet time. Finally, he looked at me. I was turned away immediately. I cannot help it. "Cool, mouse most," he said. "There, Mom, will correct me? It's all right. How are you all right?" I could not lie to him. However, I could not tell the truth. Instead, I had some bad. I cried. I lowered my head in my hands, and I cried. My son lived in the hospital for months, despite taking a variety of skin grafts. They did not help. Actually, I was forced by my son, so it looked even worse in some form. He does not seem to be the majority of people will not. Some family in his wanted to visit him, but he refused. He did not think about it. He told me that another man is not your always wanted to see him again until now. He died. But some people say that never thought to leave the hospital forever and always. But then, at the end, it's time to go home. First of all, it is normal. Playing video games. He was evacuated to the room. For him, it was a great escape. He always wears a hat like glasses, and it does help. At least a little. He put a psychiatrist in the hospital to help solve his new reality. Last week, the psychiatrist met me. Both of us. He told me that I could not hide in his room. I need the world for my son. You need to be late to respond to what later? After that, a few days I took him to the center. We have lunch and go to coast. It took a lot to persuade the work, but my son finally agreed. He was arranged in the normal glasses and a hat, and I wanted to the bus station. I can say that my son is very worried. I am also worried. Neither of us is aware of what the world is about. We have to board the bus. I sit in front. To the rest of the bus, while it is the joke, we saw us. And the girls. We are next door. We see my son. He caught his mother. "Look at my son," I almost cry. He whispered to his mother. "Mother, look at me pick it up and apologize. We assumed the daughter on the bus." I did not see him or my son. I do not know. We recently moved to a few stops and I noticed that you suggested some people. Herself. People are disgusting. I just hope. Just do not know my son. But then he said, Mom, they see me. I whispered to him, no, it is not all good. But then, Mom, I went out all to see all the way I was. Some people sit next to us. Now to this point, they started from us. My mother, he cried. He loudly continued, I've seen it. What they see, what they see. I'm going to say to him, since they just scream, please look forward too. The child took out his cell phone and started our record and I saw it. No! Call my son, because they want not the situation. They already have the appearance. Let's go out. I want to go somewhere. Girl behind the bus now crying. The okay, I said. I pressed the button to display the next stop. They looked at me. My son went, almost screaming. I want to go forward. I take home and take me home. Some people will laugh. And I've lost control. I do not know what I'm doing until it's too late. Loud, hysterical, high-pitched screams. All cars silent. Everyone is watching the situation closely. It was a driver to pull over. Do not even have to stop. Mom, you and your son, please leave the car. We all cry. We're going home. That evening, the package ordered on the internet. That night, where he began his nightmare, he set his sleep in the middle of the night screaming, crying. He did not even know what he was doing. They left me in the evening. He said he has not told me what the dream. Yes, but sometimes when I wake up, I heard him cry and speak for themselves. His voice trembled. This is the first time that I noticed that I was really scared of my son. I've really mentioned in this article, my son is barely a man. It began no longer looked like human. Screaming at night always frustrated. The vote is a boy can do. What I stand at the door at night, I sometimes hear him screaming with each other to whisper. I do not understand the words. It is not nonsense or a completely different language. A little bit like I did not hear the language. Last night I woke up late. There is silence. I heard my son, but I could not do anything. I have a feeling that something was watching me. A small amount of infiltration of the moonlight. Enough to allow me to see the adjacent look at my stuff in my bedroom. This is my son. Her face distorted terribly shone only dim light. He was staring at me. Then he began to whisper in a foreign language. I screamed very loudly. My son turned out and ran to his room. Now after a few hours he did not leave the room. I have not even tried to go back to sleep. I opened the computer and started writing this particular experiment. My package will arrive this morning. I've done some research. I found this to be a condition called a phobia. Fear of distortion and destruction of the people. That reminds me. My son has disfigured him crazy. I still suffer from extreme phobias. My mind overpriced these experiences? I'm not sure. But I know that my son is not alone. I cannot, it is very clear, or needs to be done for her son is not it. Munagijiju, his grotesque and frightening appearance, but I could not feel alone has more. Give him a partner. My son and I be together. The best way to face our fears is not specifically to be an example for his focus. I opened the package. I looked at the contents. Nitrate. I want to know how should I splash my face. I do not want to lose my eyesight in the process. I think we have to do some research. But I do not want a lot of time to waste, because I want to wake up this morning, my son. Because equality. And he told him that he was not alone. Things together cannot to be terrible. Things will not be so isolated. Things will be better. I heard the words. On the ground. Nothing like the child to fear the mother of her son. Maybe my son and my time to scare the world is to come back. We might even grow to like it. We must learn to love it. Anyway, we have to learn.